All right, welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mack here on 1010XL's podcast platform. I'm in the 1010XL podcast studio where a lot of great shows are done right here. And, of course, they go on the app, the 1010XL app, and 1010XL.com. Also on our YouTube, the Jaguar channel and Seminole Gator channel and the overall YouTube channel here at 1010XL. My show brought to you by Team Tommy Mack, a group of businesses that I personally endorse here on this show, other shows out on social media, out in the streets as well. They all have exclusivity, and I love representing every single one of them. And guess what? I'll go through them a little bit later. You may not need them today, but you are going to need them at some point. And when you do, if you and when you do, they're going to be there for you because Team Tommy Mack is a group of companies, businesses, and people that you can count on. All right, our Jaguars taking on the Lions, going up to the Motor City. Lions considered one of the top teams in the entire National Football League, especially in the NFC. Looks like Trevor Lawrence will be sitting out again, taking care of that non-throwing shoulder AC sprain. And they're going to have their work cut out for him. We'll go through the game, the players, and team stats review as well. I tell you, there's a couple that stand out. You're just like, oh, my gosh, how are they going to get this one done? But any given Sunday, and you play the game until you figure it out. So let's see what they can do. I don't have them winning. I don't. I've lost faith in this team. They continue to do the same mistakes over and over and over. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is, the same mistakes were made. Running wrong routes, not catching the rock, throwing the ball in the wrong spot, et cetera, giving up pressures at the wrong time. That's all got to get cleaned up if you want to have a chance against the Detroit Lions. Before we break it down and get into a little bit more, let's welcome in my man, Grammage. What's up, Grammage? How are you?
What's going on, sir? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. How was the wedding tasting last weekend down in St. Aug? Wasn't that last weekend?
Yes, sir.
How'd it go?
It was good.
Yeah. Did you decide on stuff?
We did. We decided on a cake flavor.
Okay.
And we also
going meat or fish or both?
Both.
All right.
Yeah.
A little combination.
But that's for rehearsal dinner where we did the tasting thing. Our wedding venue's a little different. That menu's already been decided a while ago.
Okay,
so
cool.
It's a little different, but
you sip on some champagne, some of that?
Dude, sipped on a lot of stuff, man.
There you go.
Sipped on 4 or 5 different drinks and
beauty.
I got the way they did the tasting is it was like a buffet basically of all the different meats you can choose and then their sides and whatever.
Ooh, and that's right up my alley.
And most people did what I did. You just get a little of everything, so you can try it all, dude. Every last thing. It was at White Room down in St. Augustine.
Oh, nice, yeah, yeah.
The tenderloin they had, man, big time, big time.
I love it. Well, I tell you what, I made last night. I made steak and Mayport shrimp fajitas is what I made at the house with my oldest daughter, Avery. Love doing that. All right, let's get into it, man. It's 2-8 versus 8-1. The Lions are a very good team. But look, last week they on the road in Houston. Jared Goff throws 5 picks. They need a last-second field goal, 52-yarder, to win the game. They did come back. Shows a lot of grit. There's no doubt about that. Same feeling Minnesota probably has after surviving the game on Sunday against our Jaguars. They found a way to get it done. The kicker helped them out a ton. Their defense did enough to shut us out, aside from the 7 points that we did on the one drive. But yeah, that's the mark of a good team, of a gritty team, of figuring it out. I mean, 5 interceptions from your QB, 5. That's massive. I mean, I know Darnold threw 3, actually 4, but the one got called back. Man, that's tough to come back from, but they figure it out. So I tell you what, Grammage, I looked at the roster today. I'm looking at the depth chart. Like, you look at the offensive line. You got Decker and Sewell as your offensive tackles, Zietler and Glasgow as your offensive guards, and Ragnow as your center. You know every one of those names if you've been watching the NFL. Zietler came from the Browns. Of course, Sewell was drafted. So was Decker. I mean, they put together an offense. That's a bunch of tough-minded offensive linemen that keep their quarterback clean for the most part and open up holes for their 1-2 punch of Gibbs and Montgomery. Gibbs at 6.0 yards a carry, 6 yards a carry. Montgomery at about 4.3. They have the same amount of carries for the most part. They're a 1-2 punch all day long. I mean, you look at it. Now, again, anything can happen on Sunday, but I don't know how you beat this team. I really don't. On paper and on the field, I think they're more talented than you are. I think they're more physical than you are. I think they're tougher as a team than you are overall. But you get to prove that I'm wrong, and you get to prove that you're none of those things. You're going to go up to Detroit and smack them in the face. I'll tell you this, Grammage, if they don't come out fighting, which I do believe they will, if they don't come out physical, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day. They're going to pound you to death if you're not careful. If you don't match that intensity, that physicality, that smacking them in the mouth, you're in for a long afternoon up front on both sides of the ball.
I don't believe they're going to.
It's so awful.
I mean, what? I got to go off.
Look, I'll tell you this. Last week, it's funny, okay? It's not funny. But last week, they gave up 12 points, which at the end of the day, that's the most important stat for your defense, right? How many points did you give up? 12 points. That's pretty damn good. The problem with it is if you look inside that 12 points, Minnesota did whatever they wanted up and down the field.
And they were on the field for forever. They were on the field the whole game.
Yeah.
The time of possession when it was said no was like 40-20.
Yeah, it was. It was.
I mean, come on.
Bad. It was really bad.
So
they had 17-play drives, 16-play drives. We could not get off the field. They were getting first downs. And then we just, look, I mean, Darnold makes mistakes. We make plays. Great. We're happy. We'll take those interceptions. And maybe Goff throws some today, but you bend, you'll break against this offense. This offense will pound you into oblivion with their running game. They will. I mean, that 1-2 punch will kill you. They could easily both have over 100 yards and literally drive the will right out of our defense. That's what can be. Now, I thought our defense played hard the whole game, and all this stuff, like the last play with Trey. I didn't have a problem with Trayvon doing that.
I had no problem with it either
at all, man. They're fighting. They're fighting for their lives there, and I bet you. Listen, you do get pissed off. Right? You okay, we bent. Fine, but we get a pick, and then you go 3 and out. You know what I mean? Or we get a stop, and you go 3 and out again, or you turn the ball over yourself. This complimentary football thing is never like connected all year long, even when we've won a game.
It wasn't connected last year either.
No, it wasn't.
They were better overall, so they were winning more games.
Yeah.
But they were still winning most weeks last year in spite of one side of the ball.
Think about this, Graham. It's 2022. The Jaguars and the Lions were both 2-6 at one time. They both ended up 9-8. Remember this story?
Yep.
And the Jags made the playoffs and the Lions didn't because of the rankings. They didn't have enough wins to get in. And then what did we say? Look at these two teams. And what happened? The Lions went up and we went down. And they continue to go up. And you know why I think? Because they bring in they got the culture and they bring in the players that fit that culture. Remember what he was saying? The first press conference, everybody gave him a green. He's like, look, you're going to punch us in the face. We're going to laugh at you. You're going to knock us down. We're going to get up. And on our way up, we're biting a kneecap off. We're going to come after you. Well, that's the kind of guys we want on this team. And it's okay what your culture is, but the players got to match the culture. They don't match here. They do not match here. This is a differently run team. It's not the same. They preach physicality up there, right? They preach being tough and physical and pound and make big plays, play action, throw it down the field, defense getting after people, getting off the field. They get off the field 31% of the time they're off the field. Or actually, that's 69% of the time they're off the field. They're very good on defense. So, if you're more of a player's coach like Doug is, then make sure you got enough self-starters in there that aren't selfish, that are team-oriented, and that will do whatever it takes to be ready. But you don't have that in your locker room. You got it from some guys, but you don't have it enough across the board, in my opinion. But that's the difference. Think about how that organization, it's not fairy dust. It ain't rocket science. They just built a team filled of what? Of really good athletes that are tough physically, mentally, and emotionally and can handle the grit. And they show it. You see how they play. That's the kind of team they are. That's the kind of guys they bring in. And it works. And that's how it works in the NFL.
And from a front office perspective, they weren't satisfied with what they had in 22 and said after that, oh, we'll just keep what we got.
Yeah, right.
Like that to me, that's the biggest difference between these two is I mean, look, Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't on that team in 2022.
No, right.
They went and got Jahmyr Gibbs and in that draft, and people called him crazy.
And went and got Montgomery, Chicago.
So I don't think I believe Jahmyr Gibbs was the 2022 draft, so he's been on the team. Yeah, because his rookie year was last year. Yeah. So, and people thought they were insane for drafting a running back in the top 10 that's not Bijan. How dare you?
Right. How
dare you break the rules of what you're supposed to draft?
They've drafted extremely well.
Extremely well. They went and
free agents.
In the same draft, they went and got Brian Branch.
Yep.
Who's making plays. So, like,
phenomenal play right now.
Versus here, last year Cam got suspended, so they drafted Anton out of necessity. Which Anton's a good player, but they drafted him out of necessity. They've made the free agent pickups they need to. They've supplemented the pieces that they felt good about to get even better.
That's right.
Because what's the age old statement? You're either getting better or getting worse. You don't stay the same.
Yeah.
The Jaguars, I believe, over the last 2 years, tried to stay the same.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley is the only guy I can think of that they went out to aggressively try to get to improve this roster. Other than that, they've just made the picks when they're there, and they haven't really done anything. I know Brian Thomas has panned out, but that's just he was a pick. They're available, and they made it.
It's a great pick, though. You got to give him because he got back, got picks. That was a good move.
They get credit for the good picks. I'm saying in these last 2 years that you could have built off of 2022. How often has this franchise aggressively gone out to go out of their way to improve the roster?
Right.
Like Brian Thomas Jr. was just available when they had the pick and made it.
I know what you said.
Versus Ridley, they got ahead of it, made the trade. Didn't work out, but they at least made a move that was aggressive. The Lions have been doing that. They just traded for
Zadarius Smith.
Because Aiden Hutchinson got hurt.
Aiden Hutchinson got hurt.
Instead of just saying, well, the defense is fine as is. They're saying, bump that. We're trying to win a Super Bowl.
That's right. They're 8-1.
That is... The best general managers are aggressive, and they go out and get guys. They go out and get dudes with resumes in the NFL, and then they supplement it with great drafting. They do both.
And on top of that, players want to go play for a coach like Dan Campbell.
Yes.
They want to go win. It's all about winning. And you know what? It's funny. So I interviewed Matthew Driscoll, UNF head basketball coach, Wednesday night in Riding Shotgun. And we talked about praise. And he's like, I was always, brought up like you shouldn't expect praise when you do well. And I said to him, I understand that old school thinking, but, there's nothing like getting a good job or a great job or a rap on the backside or on the helmet or just, whatever, a fist pump, like the coach telling you good job. It resonates. It's like electricity through your whole body. What do you want? You want to duplicate it. You want to hear it again and again. It's no different when you were kids. You come home with a great report card, right? Your parents would celebrate that as opposed to if you didn't, you'd get your ass chewed out or even worse. It was just, that kind of thing. So you knew, like, if I did well, I'm going to get, recognized for that. And we all want that record. We all want the adulation, even as players. So I'm like, look, you got to have both, right? If you're going to critique hard, you better reward hard. That's the way I would do it anyway, especially today. Because players, they don't care if you're hard on them. They don't care if you're hard on them and you're consistent and you're fair and you're honest with them as long as you're winning. As long as your ways are winning, they'll do anything. They don't mind discipline. Any player, they want to win more than anything. The contract's great. The great players do. The contract's great. The fame's great. All that stuff's great. But I say it all the time. When you're done and you're retired, the guys that have Super Bowl rings, they pretty much trump everybody in the room unless you're a Hall of Famer. They do, because everybody wishes they had a Super Bowl ring. Everybody that played the game in the NFL wishes that they could say, man, I'm a Super Bowl champion. That overrides everything else you've ever done. And nobody talks about your money. You may with your close circle, but nobody walks up to you and be like, man, you made a lot of money. Wow, what a great... Nobody even talks about it. They just talk about, man, you were great. Love playing with you. Man, love watching you play. Or what a great career. Man, you were a badass player. That's all that matters. And you look at that kind of culture in Detroit, that's what they have. We have it. I mean, we had it. I don't know why we don't have it today. Oh, I do know why. because our GM didn't match the culture, the kind of player that fits the culture of Doug Peterson enough. He didn't match that up, and that's why they're not doing very well. Why do we still have missed assignments, running wrong? I mean, why? Last week's week 10. I don't care who the quarterback is. It was the same freaking thing. It was the same 2 weeks ago. 1st and 10, 1:42 to go. Why are you forcing the throw? Go back last week. It's 1st and 10, game on the line. You're still in it. After all the shit that went on, you're still in it. And what do? You panic and you try to play hero ball. When you got the crosser wide open, and what happens on that play? Receiver runs the wrong route. Pressure comes at the wrong time. Quarterback can't see the open guy, and he throws the ball in the wrong spot. No different than other times, right? Why not live another down? Why not see that crosser and make that throw? Why do we keep having these mistakes? It just blows me away. And you can't sit there and say that you can. You can say whatever you want, but that ain't coaching. That's professional athletes not being very professional. And I've said this many a time. It's only going to change if the locker room changes, if you hold them accountable. Aaron Beasley, Killer Bees, was on the host's mouth yesterday with Coach Camp. He goes, T-Mac, when I came in 96, we were loaded with veterans. We had like 30 veterans. Guys that, could handle Coach Coughlin. It wasn't, so what? He was hard on us. So what? That's our job. We were happy to be there. We were getting paid to be there. Some of his rules were ridiculous. They were. Guys complained. They call the union, practicing too hard, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, we had enough players that all we cared about was winning. That's all we cared about. Yeah, it was great to get individual. Those guys that went to the Pro Bowl, but that didn't mean more than winning. And that was the culture. Because Coughlin set the culture and brought in guys that could thrive in that culture. And that's how you win more than you don't. Look at the Steelers. What does Tomlin say? Standard's a standard. That guy doesn't win Super Bowls every year, but guess what, man? He wins every year for the most part. They're right around 500 pretty much every year, and they're having a good year this year. You know what I mean? Like, he's just like, this is how we do it. This is it. So bring me players that can handle my style. Don't bring me some little softy cake, that doesn't like getting yelled at or that will put his own individualism above the team. Don't bring me that because I'll get him out. He'll be out of here. You got to fit the culture. And that's where they failed, in my opinion. Just look at the two different teams, Detroit and Jaguars. 2 years ago, were at the same spot. Why did one go up? Why did one go down? Everything we're saying is why Detroit went up. They stick to the game plan, who they're bringing in. They're never satisfied with their roster, right? They need more. Guy gets hurt, I got to replace him. I can't rely on somebody else. I got to find someone to help out. My quarterback needs a better offensive line. Well, damn it, let's invest in that offensive line. The new GM, if there is one, he better bring more beef to this team. Both sides of the ball. Tackles, guards, I don't care how you get them.
God.
Bring me some beef. Some nasty freaking beef that wants to kill people on Sundays. At least for the 60 minutes on the field. That's what we need. That's what they have. And even though they lose Hutchinson and they grab Zadarius Smith, they got a guy like DJ Reader. Go watch him. You want to see a run-stuffing defensive tackle? You go watch him. They went and got him too, from Houston, I believe. So they just bring in the right people and they're making the right plays. We don't, and it's not. I don't think it's talent. It's just there's no accountability. It seems, I don't know. We used to rave about the wide receiver coach, didn't we? How he trains them, how he gets them ready. They're prepared. Well, guess what? They're out of position a lot.
And they drop a lot of balls.
They drop a lot of balls. So what does that mean? And I'm not sitting there at the coach going, well, it's the coach's fault. There's some truth in the middle there. But at the end of the day, it's the player's fault. They got to catch the ball. They got to run the right route. They got to know when to turn around. They got to make blocks. They miss a lot of blocks. There's no attitude down the field blocking. And it's not just one guy. It's just it's not that kind of attitude, that gritty, hard-nosed attitude. It's, oh, well, look at them when they don't make plays. Oh, well, their faces are like, shucks. I'll go back to the sideline and sit on the bench and be fine. We'll get them next time. But guess what? What does the coach say up on the podium pretty much every week? We'll get them next time. Oh, we'll clean it up. Oh, well, that's what they're doing.
We got to look in the mirror.
Tomorrow. Do it tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. No, you won't. There is no tomorrow.
But to your point, Tommy, and like, I agree with you that it's on the players. When week one, go all the way back to week one, Christian Kirk dropped 2 pivotal third downs. That's Christian Kirk's fault. Yep. That's not Doug Peterson's fault. Right. It's not Press Taylor's fault. That's Christian Kirk's fault. You got to catch the ball.
Right.
It's in your freaking hands, catch the ball. And that's, in the micro, that is true for each player. They're the ones that are out there. They got to make the plays. Yep. Their paycheck's still hitting, so they better be making plays. I totally agree with that. From the macro perspective, this is on the coaching staff, in my opinion. Because who are the people setting that culture? Who are the people setting that toughness, setting that accountability? If Christian Kirk drops the ball, I know he's a veteran. I know we brought him in. I know we paid him a ton of money. Yep. When he goes to the sideline after dropping a pivotal pass, who's chewing his ass out?
They don't chew anybody.
Nobody.
No.
And it's so, and I know it irritates you as someone.
Well, Doug doesn't do it.
Right.
He's not that kind of a coach.
He's not. And I know it has to irritate you as someone who played for a hard-nosed coach, who was a hard-nosed player that held himself accountable. That's got to drive you insane.
Well, it would drive me insane to make bad plays, like, because I knew the wrath was coming. You know what I mean? The film study is going to suck. And I already know the play I've already messed up on, and I don't care how many good plays that I did maybe have, that bad play is going to be run over and over in front of me and my peers, and I know it's coming. And I'm going to sit there and be like, oh, here it comes. You know what I mean? And they're going to play it, and they're going to drive it home, because that's that accountability.
And how much motivation is that to not do it again?
Right.
That's the whole point here.
That's got to come from within. That's why you got to have the players that have that in them and bring that style to a coach that isn't going to be hammering them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have those self-starters. Yeah. I'll tell you what you can't have. And by the way, Eric Armstead, when he moved back over the guard, he was a menace last week. He was still a menace.
It's so aggravating.
Figure out how he can play end on occasion. Just get him over the guard and passing downs, please. He is such a mismatch for those guards, and he's only going to improve. But just take that, like that kind of mentality, right? Hey, Eric, I'm not going to bag on Eric, because he is who he is, and they signed him. And from what he's saying, they recruited him to play end. They didn't recruit him to play tackle. That was the deal. So why bring him in at all? Now, I would like a player that says, you know what, I'm better at tackle, and it's better for me to play tackle, and I know I'm going to get banged up more, but you're paying me a lot of money, and I've been playing a long time, and I want to win. I'll do whatever it takes to help the team. You know what I mean? Like, but in his defense, the GM promised him, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You can play end. And I'm telling you, that went on earlier in the season where he was playing tackle, and then the next week he's only playing end because he went down to the GM like, I'm not here to play tackle. I'm here to play end. I know why you don't want to play tackle. You take out double teams at tackle a lot more than you do at end. A lot. And it can be troublesome, especially for 6'8" and you're up tall. But we need you as a defensive tackle, and your individual wants should not come before or over the team needs. That goes for everybody. The team's got to be first. I don't know if they have that across the board.
I would say almost unequivocally they don't. I don't know if you can have that, Tommy, with this talented of a roster, because I agree with you. I believe this roster is talented. They're not the best team in the league, talented, but they're good.
Way talented than 2-8.
Correct.
Way talented.
Correct. So to your point that you don't know if everyone's bought in on the team, and team above self, I don't think it's possible. I don't think the math equation works that you have a team that is this talented, that is invested in the team 100% all in, and you're 2-8. I don't think that's possible. You don't make
the mistakes they make if they're invested in that team mentality.
At least you don't make them
many times.
Correct. You don't make them continuously. Right. And you and I on this show have talked about this 1,000 times. We talked about it before the season. We thought Nielsen was going to bring it. Clearly not. What's the word it's the word that starts with A. Accountability, accountability, accountability. And it still just doesn't feel like when someone, to your point earlier, a second ago, when mistakes get made, it's very, oh, shucks, my bad, get it next time. It doesn't seem to genuinely bother guys when they screw up. right? When you see it in their face.
They don't show it anyway.
It doesn't seem...
Maybe it does internally, but they don't show that.
And yeah, to be fair, guys show frustration in different ways. And I'm not trying to pick on one particular player. I'm just saying from a macro perspective, it doesn't feel like guys are genuinely pissed when they make a mistake. Like you're like, damn, I'm costing the team right now. You don't feel that. I feel it from 16.
Yeah.
That's about the only guy. He's the only guy that when things aren't going well, seems A, mad at himself, and B, seems to be trying everything to pick other guys up. Hey, let's go. Let's get it. Let's go, man. Next drive is going to be the best one. Doug's not doing that. Press isn't doing that. They're just saying, let me look back at the sheet.
That's my whole point. So you need more guys like 16 that will do it on their own. That's my whole point.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't need that coach to rah-rah me up. I don't need him to be in my face to run the right route every single time. I already know. Gabe Davis, I'm going to sound like I'm bashing Gabe. How about Gabe on the sideline? You're standing next to the sideline. Your quarterback's pressured, free blitzer, and he whips you the ball, and you can't keep your feet in? It wasn't like you had to, jump and stretch all. You might have to move a little bit, but you can't get your feet down.
An NFL wide receiver should make that catch.
That's a first down, and you don't know what happens after that. That momentum thing, And look, Ingram right in his hands on third down. That hurts you, man. You got to catch. I mean, this is your job. And then again, it's the same crap that goes on. And look, Trevor's not immune to it. He's not. He's not. He's part of the problem. He's not the whole problem. Of course he's not. He's got to be more of the solution when he comes back. But so does Mac. It's the same crap. It is. And it's not just the QB, like we've said with Trevor. It's not just Trevor. He misses some routine stuff. Yes, he does. He'll miss some throws, but he'll make some great throws. But they'll drop. They'll be in the wrong spot. They don't run the right routes. They're in the same route together from time to time. That I don't get. I don't get that at all. And I'll tell you another thing what I don't get, and this goes for Mac Jones too. And this went for Trevor 2 weeks ago. Game on the line, 1st and 10. Quit playing hero ball. Play what the defense gives you. By the way, Trevor's done that a lot. How many times last year? Not so much this year. I think he's done a better job. It'd be third down, and he's got a wide open guy, 3rd and 6, but he takes a deep shot down the sideline, and it's an incomplete pass. That would happen not a lot, but enough. Not taking what Mac's no different. I mean, look, come on, Mac. Brian Thomas Jr.'s in your face, and I know the pressure's coming, but if you could get the ball off deep to Gabe, you should have been able to get the ball off to Brian Thomas. But you know why you did it? Because you had it set in your head, I'm going to Gabe. Regardless of what he does. Just like Trevor said on the running back route. I'm going to him regardless. I don't care. I'm throwing it. He was covered the whole way. You should have never thrown it. So let me ask you this. Both these guys are veteran QBs, played a lot of football. How do both of them not know? How do they not know that? You want to tell me that's coaching? After a guy's played a ton of football, NFL starting football as a QB, regardless of how it went, you telling me he don't know better? Both of them in that situation, game on the line, 1st and 10, same result, pick, game over. Different play, different throw. I'm not totally comparing it, but it's the same result. Because why? Because you didn't have enough moxie to live another down or to see the open guy. You were so tunnel vision on making this, oh, look at me. I'm going to make this great throw, and it's going to be great and miraculous and all this stuff. Bump that. Take what the defense gives you and move the ball down the field. By the way, you hit Brian Thomas early enough on that crosser, he takes it up the field and maybe nobody catches his ass. We've seen that before. Missing the crosser. Oh, no, he ran it wrong. Whatever. Guy's wide open. You got to hit him. You got to see him. But why does that happen? How does that happen? Both quarterbacks, same, years, right? Is that coaching? Does the coach have to say, hey, guys, don't force it. It's only 1st down. Or should a quarterback in his 4th year know that? already know that. He's covered. You saw he was covered right away. There was no separation at all. He was over the top of him, the running back. And then yesterday, he wasn't really open. He threw it straight. And why does Gabe bend in? Why does Gabe bend in that route? That's not the route. Remember when Brian Thomas bent it in and then Kirk came over and Trevor threw it to it was against
the Packers.
Was the Packers? Yeah, the safety picked it off. It's the same play. The difference is with Mac, the last play was Gabe did clear it out, and he was one-on-one with the corner. But he bends it inside, and he shouldn't have thrown that ball anyway. He should throw it to the crosser. He's the one that's open. So I don't know what goes in their minds when it happens like that. But to me, I don't know. Veteran players should know that.
Tom, I got a question for you regarding Trevor. So I know right now the big talk is, are they going to shut him down? Is he going to come back? What's the thing? Yep. My question for you is, and I think Kurt Warner said something interesting about this in regards to Anthony Richardson a couple weeks ago. And Anthony Richardson and Trevor are in different they're not even close. But just, it was more just about young QBs and their development and all that.
Yep.
A lot of people right now are saying, Trevor needs to come back because Trevor needs the reps. Trevor needs more experience, more. And then other people are saying, don't risk him for injury, whatever. Is there a point at any position, but especially quarterback, where when things aren't going well, for whatever reason, the offense isn't working, all that, do you hit a point as a younger, I know Trevor's played a lot of football, but a younger QB still, that you can start regressing and developing bad habits instead of, and the extra snaps are actually counterproductive? Does that exist, or is it just more football, more football, more football?
No, that's a really good question because, look, the issues with Trev have been here since he's been here, right? I mean, the awareness, physically the kid's unbelievable. Great arm, great release, big, tough, all the physical stuff. He's top of the line, without a doubt. But there's more to the game than that, as we all know. Accuracy, awareness.
Decision making.
Those habits haven't gotten better. I'll agree with you there. So do they continue to get worse? But my question is this, and so who fixes the habits? We're creatures of habit, right? We are. And we're going to continue to do things over and over and over again, right or wrong, until we correct them. If it's right, you continue to do it. If it's wrong, you hopefully correct them, right? So why haven't they been corrected? So to me, okay, and this isn't a harp on Trump. I'm just going to use again. Same thing for Mac. Game on the line, 1st and 10. This isn't your first rodeo. The guys aren't open, or the guy you're throwing it to is not open. Why are you forcing this throw? You got plenty of time. It's 1st down, and you have a chance to win this ball game for your team, and you need a touchdown. So why are you forcing it? That doesn't make sense to me. That to me is not a coach like, hey, man, don't force it. Like, hey, man, like you've seen this before. Like, how do you not know, both of you, not make that throw?
That kind of gets to what I'm saying is, like, in 2022, the back half of that year, when that's the best ball of Trevor's NFL career by far, so far, right?
But what were they doing, Graham? Remember we were talking about this. Remember back then, Doug was getting everybody open.
Creativity, scheming dudes open.
Right. And it
easy
was
throws.
Read throws. It was the first read. Remember?
Yeah.
And he was getting a rhythm, and he was getting really good. And then he'd take a shot, and it would all be working good. And then what happened? The Chargers came in on that playoff game, that first half. What did they do? They sat on those first reads, and there were 4 picks. And then they fixed their game plan and regrouped, and we know the ending of that. You know what I mean? So I think part of that was, I think they've caught on to that. So you can't just, think about it this year. And I don't get it. Like, why are you setting these guys up? Right? Let me throw this at you, if I may. Okay. My opinion, Trevor's strengths. Okay. And I'm not talking the physical tools. His strengths are throwing the ball in the middle, down in between the numbers. He's phenomenal at it. I don't care if it's short, intermediate, or deep. Those are his best throws. He'll throw a nice out on occasion. Why we're not seeing Brian Thomas do those? His out patterns are phenomenal. We just talked about it like
the Ridley routes they ran a ton of last year.
It's just get that guy going. They're not going to double that. They can't double that. They can double deep. They could double maybe a quick slant and get that safety on him real quick. They can't double it out. It's him one-on-one with that corner. Get in some rhythm and get it. Sometimes it's on point. Sometimes it's not on point. I honestly feel that Doug doesn't think Trevor's accurate enough to run his offense effectively. However, I think it's because where he throws the football. Like you take his deep throw. Down the middle is dynamite. Tell me it's not. When it's down the middle, he throws a beautiful ball. When it's outside and the sidelines, the barrier, he's iffy. Sometimes he throws it on the inside. Sometimes he throws it short. Sometimes he throws it, way too far on the outside. It's just not as accurate. So you still have to call those plays, but the majority of my plays I'm putting in the middle. Here's another thing. You got Ingram, who's phenomenal. How many down the seam throws does he get? On occasion, they do it. When they do, Trevor's really good. He's hit Farrell down the field. He's hit Strange down the field, all down the middle. Where's my tight end? You went to him early. Brent Strange, great play. Misdirection, boom, breaks a tackle, 24-yard gain. Never saw him the rest of the game.
He was absent.
Where is he? Then you look at Minnesota, and what are they doing? They're taking that tight end. They're throwing him in motion. Oh, who's on him? Oh, a backer's on him. I'm going to run a little option route and just play pitch and catch. And that's all they did. But
every single third down, Hawkinson right at the sticks every time.
That one series, he had 4 third-down conversions in a row. They went to Hawkinson every time. He wasn't running some crazy route. He was running like a little option route, a little sit-down in the curl route, in the zone route. Why don't we do that stuff? By the way, the tight end down the middle is the easiest throw for a quarterback to make. It's right in front of him. You should be able to put it right on him, no problem.
And tight ends are huge, so you got a big target.
Damn right. We don't use them enough. Even Farrell can catch. Get them involved more. Get them involved. Still take your shots. And look, if you're not looking for Brian Thomas Jr., you're making a big mistake. That's just stupid. And Mac or Trev. Come on, man. He is a primo playmaker. Primo. You should be looking for him often. You go back to last week, and I think part of it, a Mac to Gabe a lot was because that's who he throws to in practice. When the second string goes in, that's who he's probably most comfortable throwing to, is Gabe Davis. That's why he saw it in the game. But Gabe didn't come through for him. I don't care. Regardless, get the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. Get him on some quick outs. Get him the ball in his hands. Send him on a dig. That guy's unbelievable on a dig. You know why? Because by the time he gets to that 10 yards, they think he's going deep, and they're scared to death.
Hips
and that safety is going back. And then you plant that foot and come right across the middle, and Trev throws that dig route beautifully. I'm telling you, I don't know why they don't use his strengths, because those are his strengths. And on occasion, he can do the other stuff. I'm not saying he can't. It's just not as consistent.
Because
not in the right spots.
I'll tell you my opinion on that is I believe Doug's been coaching for a while now. He's been doing this for a while. He's obviously had great success. He has a Super Bowl on the resume. I think Doug is a little bit beyond the point, I think, in his coaching career where he's willing to make big enough changes in his offense to cater to what Trevor's strengths might be. I think Doug and Press are very much, this is my offense, this is what I run. If you can't do it, it's your fault, not mine. Yeah. I think all year they've been trying to put a square peg in a round hole. And I think that's pretty clear because you have a quarterback that you can tell doesn't have enough faith in what they're doing on a regular basis. You can tell, we've talked about this 100 times, it's the same 3 to 4 plays that work. And outside of that, it just seems like it's always clunky. It was clunky last year. And I just believe play calling, and it's not all the play calling, but play calling wise and offensive construction wise, they need someone that's more willing to cater to what their quarterback does well. It just feels like Doug and Press that they have this is what they run, get used to it. That's what it feels like. And it doesn't mean it's a bad offense, but it means if it's not fitting your personnel, then you're failing your personnel.
Well, I've said this before. I think his whole thinking is cerebralness, if you will. If it works on paper, it should work on the field.
I agree.
But you're forgetting the human element.
Which
is guys missing blocks, guys not catching the ball, guys not running the right route.
It's the offensive line thing we've talked about for forever. If all 5 offensive linemen run that blocking scheme perfectly, it's going to work. But it's like, you can't always expect that. Right. In my opinion, offensive line-wise, you're better off having 5 road graders that are just going to put people on their ass. Even if they do the wrong thing, if they put somebody on their ass, I can do something about it.
Yeah, and I think Trevor is a better instead of this, I don't even know what, if it's a West Coast or what it is, but I'd rather see him with a running game, play action, throwing bombs down the middle of the field. Digs, bombs to the tight end. But you got to have the O-line for that. We don't have the O-line for that. Our O-line compared to Detroit's is like...
It's JV versus varsity, man.
Yeah, it is. And their O-line's wicked, tough and mean and strong. And that's just their mentality. And to me, they set the tone. We had that. Our O-line was one of the best in the league. You had Baselli and Leon, Wydell in the middle. You had our guards. I mean, Benny Coleman was a phenomenal guard and a massive human being, like 6'6", 330, who could move. You had DeMarco, who was 6'7". You had Rich Tilsky, who was 6'5". I mean, big guys that just had the attitude of moving people out of the way, and they would. And then we'd play action with Jimmy and Keenan and Mitch and Kyle eventually. You know, it all worked together. Willie Jack, it was a thing of beauty. That's what they do in Detroit. I mean, look at those running backs, man. Their average is 6 yards a carry and 4.3. That's a lot of carry, and they got plenty of carries. Now, last week they got shut down. Houston shut them down in the run game. Can we? And by shutting down, let's see, Montgomery on 12 carries, 2.7 yards a carry, and Gibbs on 19 carries, 3.7 yards a carry. That would be a win. Although they gave up yards there, so what? The yards per carry is what I look at, and I think that's very important. So, look, again, this team is in no position to have mistakes, and we've known this all year long. They can't be a team that they don't ever overcome their own mistakes. I don't understand why they keep making the same things on offense. I just don't. I do think they're playing hard. I don't think they've quit on their team. I don't think they've quit on anybody. I think they're trying their ass off. And look, I mean, they're not getting blown out, right? They are keeping it tight, and we don't like the way it's going down. But at the end of the day, it's, I mean, look, everyone's like, oh, it's a one-score game. There's a big difference between winning those and losing those. Winning those, you're in the playoffs. Losing those, you stay home.
The one score thing I think carries a little more weight in college football because teams blow teams out all the time. Yeah. In the NFL, man, we've talked about this before. Yeah. The red zone calls it the witching hour.
Right.
When games are coming down to it and the 1 and 4 o'clock slates, go watch the last hour of the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock slates on red zone.
Right.
You'll see 1 o'clock slate. You'll have 5 or 6 games on at once. 4 to 5 of those are going to be coming down to it with 5 minutes left.
What's great about November and December,
and that's the league. Yeah. So, if you are taking a moral victory and you're taking solace in, well, at least we were competitive, then your standards are too low for your NFL team.
Yeah,
because that is not the NFL.
Yeah,
it's different. Right. It's different in college football if. Syracuse hangs tough with Texas.
Oh, right.
Then it's like, okay, well, they played well, whatever. That's the league. Anyone can beat anyone, man. Yep. The Panthers could beat the Chiefs, and it'd be an upset, but it wouldn't be like the biggest upset you've ever seen in your life, right? Yep. So it's like this team, and we say it every week. Good teams find ways to win. Bad teams find ways to lose.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
You're good.
You can't win close games when you're -7 in turnover margin. The Lions are +8 for the record. Big difference that is. You cannot win, especially close games, when you turn the ball over. Last week, we had 3 turnovers, but guess what? We also turned the ball over 3 times. So it doesn't mean, it's still great for the defense, but for the team, you gave it back. So what? It was like 2 years ago. We had 30 takeaways and then 27 giveaways. Great. So what? Or we had 27 takeaways and 30 giveaways. We're -3. You can't win by turning the ball over. And even when you do get your turnovers, you got to think of all the turnovers last week that our defense got. What did our offense do with them? Nothing. They went 3 and out twice. Nothing. Like that. So what? It's great you made the play. It's great they ended the drive. It's fantastic. But come on, offense, give me something. And then you go 3 and out after that 17-play drive where there was a pick in the end zone. Buster got it. 3 and out the next series. You know how many MFs are going towards that offense as the defense is running back out there? Like, come on, are you kidding me? You kidding me? Or we get you the ball back and you don't do nothing with it. That's not good football.
Especially when the Vikings are putting together long drive after long drive. Oh. They weren't getting points. No, and Minnesota radio is complaining all week probably about red zone offense, as they should.
Yep.
But it's long drive after long drive after long drive.
He made the mistake, too. Darnold kept trying to force it to Jeffrey.
100%.
Like he was trying to play hero ball himself. You must get it in your head, like, I can get there. I don't know. And
for the first time all year, it felt like Nielsen was doing something. They knew exactly where Darnold wanted to go with the ball, just sitting on it.
Yeah.
But to have, and you can speak to this, you played the position at middle linebacker. Like, if you're a defense and the other team has been on the field for seemingly forever, 8-minute drive, something crazy, you get a pick or something. You have a big play to flip that momentum. And that 3 and out, to your point, the MF's just like, dude, eventually you're going to wear it down.
I think part of Trayvon, what he was doing at the end, he was so frustrated. Like, here's another game that we had the chance to win, and we can't get out of our own way.
That's also,
and I could, he was going for the ball, and I liked it. I didn't have a problem.
I had no problem with it.
By the way, I liked Cam's hit on the sideline too. I thought that was great. He should have hit him harder. He didn't go full speed to the last couple steps.
Yeah,
he should have drilled him, but he got him decently. But I like that. I didn't have a problem with that at all. Now, granted, it's a penalty, but even at the end with Trayvon, I didn't. Guys fighting, man.
I think it's also indicative of, we talk about this, like that offense had done nothing all day to show that Mac Jones and that offense is going to go down and get points and win the game.
Right.
So if Trayvon. It's a little of the quarterback's overtime. It's a little hero ball-ish because I feel like I've got to make the play or no one else will.
No one else will, right?
And that's not really on Trayvon. I mean, I would rather Trayvon in that situation.
Yep.
Put himself at risk to get the penalty, if it means having a chance to maybe punch the ball out and the Jags win that way. Yeah. They're far more likely to win in that scenario than punting the ball and with 20 seconds left and no timeouts getting a Hail Mary or something.
That's right.
I totally agree. I had no problem with it at all.
It showed that they're fighting to the end. I'll tell you, one of the biggest matchups, it probably will be the entire game, is Decker and Penei Sewell, the offensive tackles for the Detroit Lions, against Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, and occasionally Eric Armstead. I think even more so this week than ever. If you want to do something against this offense of the Detroit Lions, 91, Armstead's got to play over the guard more times than not if you're going to have a chance with this thing. But you got to watch. And look, Trayvon has got a lot to prove. First round overall pick. Of course, we picked him over Hutchinson. Hutchinson's injured. Hutchinson, man, was on a tear. 4 games, 7.5 sacks. Trayvon's there now. I like Trayvon. I don't even know if I mean, look, I don't want to take anything away from Aiden Hutchinson, but I do like the way Trayvon's coming on, and I think he's going to end up being a tremendous pick. But with him and now Josh Hines-Allen, look, Josh, 5 sacks, good. We got more games to play. Hopefully, get going. But this is a big test. But that's why you're paid big money. You're one of the top paid defensive end pass rushers in the game, and you're going to go against one of the top, at least in Penei Sewell, one of the top tackles in the game. And how are you going to fare? I wouldn't expect you to dominate, but I'd expect you to create some havoc in that backfield, especially on more than just on occasion. And same for Trayvon. Like you got to get the job done too. And they're that's going to be probably the matchup that we're gonna really have to win. I mean, look, I don't know how we're going to cover down on Jameson Williams. That guy scares me to death. He's like Brian Thomas Jr. speed. He runs just they almost look identical the way they run and play the game. He's scary. And, of course, Amon St. Brown is just Mr. Reliable, Mr. Tough, Mr. Clutch, and figures it out. So Laporta's got a dinged-up shoulder. He may not go. But you know what? So what? They're going to go to the tight end because we can't cover the tight end for squat. I don't understand that either. I'd still like to see Miller out there, although I know Foye knows the defense is probably a little bit better, so you need him out there. But he got beaten coverage a little bit. Hawkinson's a great player. Hawkinson's like Kelsey. He runs like Kelsey. He does. I mean, he's like a wide receiver tight end. Runs great routes. He's tough. He's fast, tall. catches pretty much everything. So he's not an easy guy to cover. But I think Miller can really cover. I do. I think Miller's my cover guy.
He made probably the best pass breakup in coverage
against the running back.
Yeah, for him to stick with him, trying to go up the field, stay on him, get his hips and his head around, see the ball, knock it down. Like, that was a thing of beauty.
Great
from the linebacker
position. More of that, but I get why you may want 23 out there in your dime package. All right, we'll get to team stats review. Very interesting. We'll see how we can maybe take advantage. But first, I'll remind you of Team Tommy Mac. Please go to TommyMac.net. My webpage, all their logos are on that page. Click on the logo, take you right to the respective websites. I always tag them on Facebook, and I try to do it on Twitter and on LinkedIn. It goes on Instagram as well. Please click on their handle, take you right to their Facebook page. You get thrown in jail. My man, Chris Lucero's bail bonds team will get you out in a blink. Call him 904-822-2245. Carpetman Flooring, carpetman.biz, 2 great locations, highest quality flooring, lowest prices, LVP carpet, anything and everything. Fields Cadillac, my title sponsor for riding shotgun, love riding around in their vehicles. Check them out on Blanding and I-295 and down at the St. Augustine Mall, the outlet mall. J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling, get rid of your junk. Let them come pick it up, because what they'll do is they'll refurbish it the best they can and give it to veteran families in need. We're getting to the season of giving. Be great to call J-Dog and give up some of that junk that maybe you don't want anymore. And don't forget, you contractors, they're there for the hauling business as well. 844-GET-J-DOG. Newmark Phoenix Realty Group, the #1 commercial real estate firm right here in Northeast Florida. They do it all: industrial, office, retail, investment, and development. These guys have been together since 1993. I used to work for them. They're still all really good friends of mine, and they're great people, and they know the market like no other. Azar Sausage, I tell you, I got a nice big package of those, the andouille and the hot. We've been eating them like crazy. They go on our favorite dish or in a bun. Azar Sausage is the one. Winn-Dixie and other local grocers carries Azar Sausage. Code Ninjas, go to codeninjas.com, and there are 4 great locations, a great after-school program for your children to learn all about tech. They're going to have fun building video games. They're going to learn about Minecraft, Roblox, all types of security, all types of technology, and getting them a leg up in that field. CodeNinjas.com. Salt Air Inn and Suites, a great boutique. I want to say luxurious because it feels luxurious when you're in there, and it is, man. It's an awesome place. Boutique hotel, 4 blocks from the ocean, 2 blocks from all the action, right there on Atlantic Boulevard in Atlantic Beach, owned by Beach Life Rentals. You see them up and down the beach with all their umbrellas, tables, and chairs and whatnot. Freedom Finance LLC, my man Courtney Myers. I tell you what, if you need any financial help with your businesses, your startups, your early stage, you got to do some forecasting, some accounting, some CFO work, some fundraising. Make sure you check out my man Courtney Myers. That's his specialty, and he helps a bunch of companies do just that. Go to freedomfinance.llc. Family Tradition Specialty Foods, home of Coconut Joe's hot sauces. Always on my table, man. I tell you, that sriracha is absolutely phenomenal. I'm not a huge hot sauce guy, but I use that quite often. It's absolutely great. I got some Christmas gifts to give out, and I know my man out in Idaho. I got you, my man. I'm going to take care of you, Dean. Dale. Sorry, Dale. I'm going to take care of you and send those out. Michael Nickus is, let me back up. Family Tradition Specialtyfoods.com. Put in pound team Tommy Mac into the discount code bar and get a BOGO free. They got the new Pineapple Ghost. More coming. Absolutely great stuff. They'll be great for stocking stuffers, so keep that in mind. And Michael Nickus is State Farm Agency. He's my State Farm agent. Allow him the chance to be yours as well, whether it's your personal, your business. He takes care of it all. Auto, home, life, and supplemental health. Let Michael Nickus and his team take care of you. Always there for you when you need them. 904-777-6888. And, of course, I want to thank 1010XL. Great to be a part of the family. All right, let's get into team stats review. Points, yards per carry, yards per attempt plus percentage, completion percentage, third down conversion rate, fourth down conversion rate, sacks given up and getting, interceptions thrown and taking, and the turnover ratio. Points do not look good. They average almost 32 points a game. We give up 26, and we average they average 19 points a game given up on defense, and we score 20 points a game. So if you go by that, it looks like the score is going to be about 31-20. somewhere in that range with the Lions coming away with I don't have our Jags winning. I don't think it's talent. I said it last year. That's what's aggravating. And I really meant it. Like, even last year, I thought they had enough talent to get into the playoffs, and I'm a firm believer once you get in there, anything can happen. I still think they've got plenty of talent. I do, but you can't keep making these stupid-ass mistakes. You just can't from any of the positions. And you've been doing it all year long. It's just befuddling to me. And I don't know. Look, here's another thing you got to have. I don't know what the right word is, but you got to have freedom to run your ball club the way you want to by your owner, because the money's so big. Like back in the day, like if you had to sit a big money player, you'd have to, I got to sit him. He's not doing it. And then the owner's like, wait a minute, I gave him all this money. But you got to have the trust with the owner that the owner says, I'm backing you. If you want to sit our player because he's not doing the right things or what have, I don't care what I'm paying him, you do that. Maybe it's called autonomy. Does that sound about right? Full autonomy to how you run this team, who plays, who doesn't play. You got to have the backing of your owner. And then, because the money's going to be there. The money's not going anywhere. It's going to continue to go up. So what's next? Playing time. Because you can't find them for bad play, but you cannot play them for bad play. And to me, when you run wrong routes, when you don't catch the rock, your ass should be on the bench. And I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money they pay you. I don't care where they draft you. I don't care what you did in the past. Just sit your ass on the bench if you don't know what you're doing out there. All right, so that's going to be a tough one in the points department. Yards per carry, we're doing pretty good still. We'll see if Bigsby plays. It looks like he's going to go out there today and give it a run. ETN 4.3, Johnson 4.1, and Bigsby at 5.5 for a grand total of 4.7. They give up 4.4 yards a carry. Last week, Minnesota gave up some yards against the run. ETN was 11 of 44. Like, come on, man. Let's get this running game going. I don't care if it's ETN. I don't care who it is. Get it going. Use the pass to set up the run, and maybe you can get something there. They're very good against run. They're with running the ball. I mentioned it already. Collectively, they're at 4.7 yards a carry. We give up 4.3. So if I'm them, I'm pounding the rock too. I'm going to see if we can stop them. I'm literally, if I'm Dan Campbell, I'm saying first series, we're lining up, and we're just going to run the football right down their throats, and let's see if they can stop us. I don't know if we'll have the balls to do that. We're not really built for that. That's why I think you got to set up the pass, use the pass to set up the run. Yards per attempt plus completion percentage. It matches up too well. It does. Trevor at the offense 7.3 yards per attempt at 61%. They give up 7 yards per attempt at 64%. Offensively, they throw it 8.6 yards per attempt down the field. Remember, Trevor was getting better at this. He was throwing the ball down the field with some big completions. At 72%. We still give up 8 yards an attempt at 70% completion. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Third down, their offense converts almost 43.5% of the time. Our defense gives up 43.5% of the time. So that's probably going to be a match. Our offense, 33% on third down. Terrible, although last week better somehow. And their defense at 31.4%. They're really good on defense. They're good. Fourth down, we're 9 of 8 on offense. They're 6 of 15 on defense. Offense, they're 7 of 12 on fourth down. We're 8 of 13. Kind of an interesting match. Doug goes for it on fourth down, so no big deal. Sacks, 23. Of course, Mac had 5. Trevor's got 18. They got 19 total on offense. So their O-line does a pretty good job. 19 out of 9. 2 a game. Not bad. Pretty good. They're at 24 sacks as a defense, but Hutchinson has 7.5, and he's out, of course. So maybe Zadarius Smith, does something. They got some good linebackers, Campbell, Anzalone, and Rodriguez. And, of course, Branch and Kerry Joseph, they both have 10. They combined 10 interceptions. And then Terrion Arnold, a very good corner. They're loaded, man. DJ Reader, too. I like that guy as a defensive tackle. All right, sacks. Let's see. We give up 23. I said that. Our defense has gotten 21, led by Trayvon. They give up 19, so that could be interesting. And then they get 24, and we give up 23. So We'll see if we can hold them off. Interceptions, we've thrown 6. They've thrown 9. We got 5. They've got 13. Yeah, big difference. Turnover ratio, margin. We're -7. They're +8. So, how do you win? Well, I think you got to go old-fashioned, old-school kind of thought process. You're going up to a really good team, a city that's revitalized, not just by their sports and their football team, but the city itself. They're tough. They're physical. They play that way. Their coach played that way. Their coach is that. So you got to go up there and smack them in the mouth. I know it sounds cliche, but if you don't match that physicality, it's going to be a long-ass day. I'm telling you, it's going to be like 2 years ago? Last year, 2 years ago, and they beat us 41-10.
2 years ago.
It's going to be like that if you're not careful. And it could happen, no problem, because they're that kind of team. But on any given Sunday, look, God rest my father's soul, but he would always tell me at a young age, if you out-hit the opponent, you'll always have a chance to win. If you out-hit the opponent, if you're more physical than your opponent, you have a better chance of winning. And if we don't match that, if we're not even more physical, I thought we were physical last week, and I think we've been pretty physical overall. We got to match it, because if we don't, they're going to steamroll us, and it's not going to be pretty. Now, like I wrote on Twitter, watch. They'll steamroll us, and then we'll go out a run and finish 8-9 and be vying for a wild card because the conference sucks so bad or something will happen. You watch. Anything can happen in this crazy game, in this crazy life as well. Want to thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for listen, man. You don't hurt me when you say bad things about me online. You could never hurt me. That doesn't bother me at all. I chuckle most of the time because I think it's funny that you get that fired up. And sometimes I am messing with you on purpose, just so you know. I kind of like to dig you a little bit and see how you react. But nonetheless, I appreciate all the support, all the love. Hey, we all want the same thing, man, a championship. We want a winning program. We want a winning team that we can all be proud of. And there's nothing worse than having to get up every week and talk about a team that's not very good. And it's not that they're not talented. It's that they're not executing well enough. And that's coaches, that's players, that's everybody. So hopefully they can figure it out, come away with a miraculous win, and maybe that sets the stage for a run for the rest of November and December. That's going to do it for me this time around, 111. Some people make a wish. I say a little quick prayer. Thank you, Lord. And I hope you all have a wonderful day and weekend. Go Jags. We'll see you next time. Be safe. Stay cool. Stay cool. Be safe. We'll see you right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mack. Peace, everybody.